Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Naruto summoned 12 girls as Snake in Harem? Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the HARRY1817 for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. Let's start this video. The 6-year-old Naruto walks through one of the many forests in Konoha, holding his bleeding left arm. He had just been attacked again. It was always the same. Every birthday they came, beating him, stabbing him, calling him demon, never relenting, nothing helped. He always desperately tried to avoid them on the 10th of October, the day of his birth and the day Kyuubi died, but they always found him anyway. And once they did, he would not get away. How could he? He was just a kid. The night was just the 6th intense beating he had survived in his short life. He finally stopped walking and sat on an outcropping of rock next to an old pond. Why? Why do they hurt me? His tear-stained face looked up at the crescent moon through the trees. Why did they sneer at him? Why did they glare at him and throw things at him? Why did they beat him on his birthday? Why was he always alone? He looked into the calm crystal waters and saw that his hair, face, clothes and mouth had blood slowly drying on them. He splashed the water on his face and rubbed both the wet and dried blood from his skin. As he looked into the water, he couldn't help but let his tears fall into the crystal pool reflecting the moonlight. I wish that I could protect myself. I wish I could make someone proud of me. I wish I could have something that the village or anyone else couldn't take from me. His tears continued to fall, and he curled up on the rock where he cried himself to sleep. Up in a tree, overlooking the pond and the sad 6-year-old boy, was an orange snake with black bands and a collection of purple scales on top of its head. Its golden eyes softened and the slit pupil expanded. A lone tear made its way down from its left eye. So young, too young and innocent to have to know this kind of pain. The snake had been watching this village for 3 years now and marveled that this small boy, with almost no one to lean on, could stand the physical and psychological torture these villagers had put him through. She had lived long enough to see battle-hardened warriors, mistreated slaves, and tortured prisoners break and fall into madness and eventual suicide. But this boy, who radiated kindness and life, was put through so much, and even when he thought he was alone, didn't say a word against his monstrous home. Then a thought struck her. Perhaps he could be the one to possess it, to redeem our people, and just maybe we can give him what he wishes for. Having a few moments to contemplate her idea and its chance of success, she made up her mind and poofed away, leaving no other evidence of her presence than a cloud of smoke. Deep in the lands of the summoned snake clan, a huge white snake lay curled on a huge limestone rock sitting on a grassy hill. His eyes were closed until he sensed a familiar presence. He raised his great horned head and looked below him to his left. The orange snake appeared and bowed her head to him. The giant white snake returned the bow. So, Yoruichi, to what do I owe this pleasant visit? The great serpent asked, its head to one side. The orange snake, now known as Yoruichi, looked up at the white snake and spoke. Anaconda-sama, I have important news. I believe I have found the one. Yoruichi said with a calm yet hopeful gaze. Anaconda's eyes widened a little. Then speak, Yoruichi, I trust your judgment, but I must know your reasoning. For this single decision is one that could either save as well as destroy our clan. The one must be chosen with care. He said with a calm yet eager voice. Of course, Anaconda-sama. She replied. She then told Anacondas all she knew about Naruto and what he is, as well as how the village treats him. Anacondas was amazed by this little human and enraged with the actions of these people who seemed to be too stupid to tell a kunai from the scroll it sealed into. He had long known about the sealing of the mighty fox from his communications with the Toad tribe. While Manda may have been the Toad's enemy, those of the clan that supported Anacondas were friendly with them in secret and apologized every time they were forced to fight the Toads on Manda's orders. Anacondas was silent for a few moments and then opened his eyes and looked at Yoruichi with the look of a leader commanding his forces. I feel your analysis is correct, Yoruichi. His will seemed unbreakable and his kind heart refused to be extinguished. I want you to speak with him and befriend him. Do not lie to him, but if he asks a question he would not be ready to hear the answer to, then say as much and tell him that we will answer those questions when he's older. Find out what it is he dreams of, what he aspires to become. And only if he wishes to pursue a career in the ninja ways would you offer him the new contract. If he wishes for another life, he sighs, we shall respect his wishes. I will not become like Manda just to get our freedom, and I will not use him like Manda and his vile summoner use each other and us. He speaks the last part with determination. The Snake Clan has gone too long using fear and deceit to gain our desires. If we are to be reborn, the clan must break from old evils. Yoruichi nods. It shall be done, my lord. She then disappears in a puff of smoke and Anacondas looks up to the heavens. Please let him be the one who is worthy. By the pond in the forest, Naruto still lays fast asleep while the sun slowly rises into the sky. He opens his eyes and sits up, rubbing sleep from his eyes. He looks around and his eyes water as he remembers why he is here. He yawns and stretches while he thinks of things he can do for the day. "Greetings, Naruto," a soft kind voice says to him. Startled, he looks around till he spots an orange snake coiled up next to him. His first instinct is to run, but when he looks into the snake's eyes and only sees kindness, a calm feeling overtakes him. He turns to the snake and sits down Indian style. He places his hands on his knees and curiously looks at the snake. "Did you just say something?" he asks, never looking away from the snake's calming eyes. "Yes, that was Naruto-kun. I am Yurichi, a snake summon," she says in a voice that Naruto finds to be feminine and extremely beautiful. Naruto thinks for a moment and crosses his arms over his chest. "So you're like one of those poofy dogs?" Yurichi blinks and sweat drops at his statement and tilts her head to the side. What do you mean, Naruto-kun? What is a poof dog and why do you think I'm like one of them?" Part of her feels slightly miffed that he compares her to a dog, and the word poof doesn't add any endearing qualities about the name of whatever animal he's referring to. "Well, when the man with the Inu mask watches me sometimes, he does these weird hand things, and then poof, a little dog appears. He lets me play with the smallest one who likes it when I rub the pads on his paws," Naruto explained happily. Yurichi thinks for a moment when realization hits her and she smiles as much as a snake can smile. "Oh, I see, you mean he summons dogs. Naruto, that poof is just what happens when you summon something. The dogs are like me, but I am from the snake clan. Those hand things were probably hand signs, the way ninja mold their charka to perform dot. Because he signed a contract with the dog summons, he can call them to help him if he gets a drop of his blood and does those hand signs," Yurichi says in a teacher-like manner. Naruto thinks for a few moments and nods as he understands most of it. "So, if you have to summon creatures like that, who summoned you?" Yurichi shifts around in her spot as she relaxes a little. "Well, no one. You see, Naruto-kun, sometimes summons can come and go on their own, but it takes a bit of chakra to do so. Now, before we take that topic any further, I would like to ask you some questions." Naruto nods for her to continue and she begins. "Now, what is your dream?" she asks seriously. "I want to be a great ninja and someday Hokage," Naruto answers with a small smile. Yurichi smiles too. "Okay, at least he has the right profession for what I need to offer, but I better make sure of his reasons and seriousness." She thinks. She takes up an inquisitive pose. "But Naruto, why would you want to work for a village that treats you so badly?" She sees his look of surprise and decides to elaborate. "I have been around this village for the past 3 years looking for something, and I don't understand why you stay, let alone want to help them." Naruto's head hangs low, but then he raises it in determination. "I want to prove to them that I belong here and that I will help them." I think he looks pensive for a moment. "I think that people think I'm connected with Kyuubi," Naruto states, half expecting Yurichi to attack him or run from him. Instead, she just looks puzzled at him. Inwardly, she's surprised by how perceptive he is, but wants to see how much he knows. "Why do you say that?" Naruto looks up at her in mild surprise that she doesn't hate him. "Well, I was born the day the fourth died defeating Kyuubi, and I have these marks," he says, touching the whisker marks on his cheek, "and I kind of look like the fourth. So, I figure people see me and are reminded of everything they lost." Yurichi is stunned by the boy's insight and reasoning, even if it isn't quite the truth, but it could be seen as a logical conclusion for someone who didn't know the truth. "I see. Well, your reasoning is fairly logical and heavy in the understanding of others, that doesn't excuse their behavior. But I suppose that's something for a later discussion." She then looks him in the eye. "Naruto-kun, you said you wanted to be a ninja," right? He nods. "Well, I'm here to make you a deal." Naruto s his head to the side in confusion but nods again, waiting to hear her out. "Naruto, I would like for you to sign the snake contract and become our summoner," she says in a polite tone. Naruto looks surprised. "Why? Not to be disrespectful, but why would you offer this to me? I'm just a kid." Yurichi nods in understanding. After all, he has never been given anything for free except by the Hokage. "Naruto, let me tell you a small story about my clan." He nods and sits straight up. "Naruto, for a long time now my clan is viewed as a bad or evil clan. We have a reputation for being cruel and causing pain for no reason other than our own enjoyment." She sighs sadly. "This is not really who we are. Our clan leader, the boss summon known as Manda, and his summoner Orochimaru use us to do terrible things, and since Manda is the boss and Orochimaru has signed the contract and has Manda's approval, we are forced to obey. Recently, Manda's cousin, Lord Anacondas, has been gathering some of our clan members up in secret and all of us want Manda and his summoner either gone or killed. So, he drew up a new summoning contract and we have been looking for a summoner ever since." However, we don't want a repeat of the past and wish our summoner to convey our true selves. We need someone who will do what is right and be loyal to his friends and precious people. I heard your wishes last night, Naruto. Naruto's eyes widened. I'm impressed. You didn't once curse the village that rightly deserved it, and you wished only for things to make your life happy and complete. I told Lord Anacondas of you and he has agreed that, if you wish to be a ninja, you may sign our contract and we will aid you and teach you to be strong. Our only request is that you stay a good person at heart and see to it Orochimaru is destroyed. He uses us as disposable soldiers and tools of death. He has done horrible things to us and his comrades for his own and wants. He betrayed this village, has ruined many lives and continues to do so. She took a moment to let this all sink in. He seemed to be deep in thought. Yoruichi waited for a few minutes and then asked again. So Naruto, will you do it? We will not pressure you into this. We will not be like Manda and make outrageous demands like the human sacrifices he desires for his help. We wish to be an honorable clan again and speak freely with other clans without fear of Manda's punishment. This is your choice, Naruto. She sits and awaits his answer, hoping. After nearly 15 minutes of thought, which is incredible for a 6-year-old, showing that he has maturity beyond his years. He looks Yoruichi dead in her golden eyes. I accept. Yoruichi smiles and nods. She then waves her tail and a large white scroll poofs next to her. She unrolls it with her tail, showing it was filled with empty slots. Then bite your thumb to draw blood and write your name with it. Then wet the hand you want to summon with your blood and press it at the bottom. Naruto obeys. When he is finished his blood glows golden on the page and remains as if written in golden ink. He looks at Yoruichi as the scroll poofs away and she smiles her serpent smile. Congratulations, it will be an honor to be your friend and summons, Master Naruto. It has been 7 years since that fateful day, and Naruto had grown very strong in that time. He had purposely failed his first 2 genin exams because he wanted a team his age, and he needed more time to learn from his summons. They had taught him a lot of things, among them were things like chakra control and other things the academy wouldn't teach. Mainly, most of which exclusive to snake summoners. They even helped him create some for himself or modify some from Orochimaru into less evil counterparts. He and Yoruichi had become very close at that time. She has the human form of a pretty beautiful girl in Naruto's opinion, a girl around his age. She had dark skin, purple hair tied into a long ponytail and golden eyes. She wears tight black shinobi pants, a black backless top that shows her beautiful curves with a golden snake in a spiral formation in front and a dark orange battle kimono top over it. She can remove her orange top for her more powerful moves that need flexibility and range of motion. On her feet are black ninja battle slippers and she has a white scarf around the lower half of her face. She stood at about 5'10" and had a lean, muscular, but incredibly firm and feminine figure that, if and when other male shinobi and a few females saw it, they would be driven mad with. She looks like this in private, minus the scarf on her face, but when in public she is in her snake form and wrapped around Naruto's neck. She became his constant companion when they exchanged some blood in an open cut they made in their hands. While in her snake form, she could do various attacks and be used as a weapon, scout, or tool. In her human form she was a goddess to him that could do nearly anything. Of course Naruto was still forced to act like a weak obnoxious idiot because it would make him less of a threat in the villagers' eyes and thus safer. Only drawing suspicion at first because he had Yoruichi draped around his neck, but with some acting on their part, she was quickly written off as a victim to the boy's love for orange. But today would be different. This is the day he becomes a genin, the day he drops his mask and shows the world his strength, his true self. Naruto's true body is 5'9" of pure muscle, his baby fat has all but disappeared though training, he has black hair with blonde streaks, and his eyes are now slitted. It was part of the contract and necessary for some of the hibi he learned during his training. He no longer wears his orange nightmare, instead he now wears black, heavily pocketed, ninja cargo pants with loops for scroll carrying, kunai and shuriken holsters. This is secured around his waist with his snakeskin belt which he had made from shed snakeskin he'd gotten from Yoruichi. His shoes were armor-plated versions of Yoruichi's, and also black. He wore a dark green sleeveless muscle shirt and had his hands covered by fingerless gloves that reached just below the elbow. On the backs of the gloves was armor plating, engraved with the symbol of a snake curled in the shape of the leaf symbol. His face was covered by a dark green face mask like Kakashi wears. He also wore black cloth over his slitted eyes, since he long ago learned to see through vibrations, sound, and heat and chakra sensing. He could fight in total darkness if he had to, and had done so in some training. He also had several seals placed on his body. Some gravity and resistant seals for training purposes giving him incredible speed when released, a couple of storage seals for some of his personal belongings, scrolls, and most importantly his sword, the Kage Kusanagi. It was made specifically to be stronger than Orochimaru's sword and could theoretically destroy the cursed weapon. It was also designed with special seals to give the sword several abilities, much like Kiri's Shinobigatana Shichinen Shu, 7 ninja swordsman. He kept it sealed because anacondas had said while training him. The wolf bares its fangs and is countered, but the viper hides his and strikes. Naruto walks into his classroom, and immediately everyone who was talking turns silent, trying to recognize this strange kid. It takes nearly a full minute for Iruka, the only teacher who gives Naruto a chance, to realize who he is. "Naruto? Is that you?" Immediately after speaking, the whole class erupts into murmurs of disbelief and looks of recognition. "Naruto Baka. What are you thinking? Dressing up and using henge won't make you any less of an idiot. You'll never be better than Sasuke-kun. Now take off the blindfold before you hurt someone and make yourself even more of a dove. Guess who?" Naruto slowly turns his head in her direction, unnerving her and the other students, and speaks. "Shut up, Haruno." This causes the class, even Sasuke, to look at him as if he's grown a second head, and for Sakura to stare with her jaw on the floor, miraculously at a loss for words for once. "This is how I would normally dress if I wouldn't have had to behave like an idiot because of the villagers. I have decided to drop the charade, as it is of no more use to me. As for the blindfold, I have trained to fight without sight and therefore don't need my eyes at a time like this." Here he pauses for a second. "For potential ninjas, you are all sure of looking underneath the obvious. What if I had been an enemy ninja? Posing as a complete fool to lower your guard and then kill you before you know what's happened to you," he said calmly. The class was dumbfounded, even Shikamaru was wide awake and surprised. Sasuke looked at the supposed dope wide-eyed. Had he really fooled everyone? No, that was impossible, right? He couldn't have fooled him, he was in a chair. Sakura recovered first. Shut up, Naruto Baka. Stop acting like you are better than the rest of us, you can't even do the Bunshin no, Sakura managed to screech out. Naruto sighed. "Again, Haruno, you prove your stupidity." A few eyebrows rose at that, and Sakura looked pissed off. Naruto turned his head to Ino. "Yamanaka." Ino went rigid in her seat as his cloth-covered eyes looked at her. "Why yes. Tell me, what are the Sasuke knows?" Naruto asks as he crosses his arms. Sasuke looks curious as to why Naruto would ask about him. Ino looked equally confused, but nodded anyway and replied to his question. Well, let's see. There's Bunshin, Kawarimi, Henge, and I think he knows some fire. Naruto nodded at that, then he looked back at Sakura. "If I wanted to kill Sasuke, I would just have to use an earth to level all the trees and bury all objects around us to stop him from using the Kawarimi. Then I could use another cold earth encampment wall to raise 3 large slabs of earth around him to block his escape and then use Suiton Teppadama, making any fire useless, resulting in his death." The class was stunned once again, and Sasuke was pissed. Naruto continued, "You see, Haruno, Sasuke's fangirls can tell anyone what they want to know about him and then plan to counter his skills. I, on the other hand, made it look like I have no skills. So no one knows what I'm capable of. It's true I can't use the Bunshin no, but that's because I have a condition where my chakra is denser and larger in quantity than that of a regular ninja. Because of that my chakra control goes out the window and I can't use a little enough for the Bunshin. However, I can make any type of elemental clone, including shadow clones." Iruka and his assistant Mizuki were doubtful, and as if he was reading their minds, he snapped his fingers and 4 shadow clones poofed into existence, walked over to the window, opened it, and disappeared. Silence in the classroom followed. "Now," Naruto spoke again, "I would like to take this exam and go home, so let's hurry up, shall we?" He then walked up to the back row, sat down, and crossed his arms, waiting for the exams to begin. After a little while a recovered Iruka finally spoke. Alright then, let's get these exams started." He looked at his list of students. "Choji Akamichi, you're up first." And so the exams passed. Some graduated, others failed. Naturally Naruto passed, much to Mizuki's hidden ire. After Iruka told everyone to be back the next day to receive their teams and instructors, he went back to his apartment. Once he arrived, he locked the door before activating the silencing and blinding seals he had placed everywhere in his home, so no one could see or hear what was inside. All anyone would see would be a rundown apartment with covered windows. Naruto went into his bedroom, placed his leaf headband and his blindfold on his nightstand, and sat down on his bed. A moment later, the weight around his neck where Yoruichi always stayed disappeared and 2 slender, delicate arms wrapped around his chest and held his back against Yoruichi's soft assets. "Naruto-kun, don't you think that you might have gone a little too far? I mean, sure, Haruno is a joke of a ninja, but you pretty much verbally backhanded her." Despite Yoruichi's words, she was smiling and Naruto knew it. She hated it when Naruto would allow Haruno to hit him to keep up his mask. She also remembered how he always shielded her from harm while she was wrapped around his neck. I know, but now that I'm strong enough to take on anything below cage, I refuse to play the idiot any longer, nor will I chance being put on a team of weak fools that don't realize the harsh truths of the ninja world. He said as he turned his head to Yoruichi. He then lifted his left hand, cupped her face and drew her close for a long passionate dot. He and Yoruichi had indeed grown close these years and were lovers in all but the act itself. They wanted to wait for a time when they could relax and truly be together without concerns. Naruto had asked Anacondas about it, and Anacondas had given them his blessing to be together and informed him that if they mated, she could conceive a child, as long as she remained in human form during her pregnancy. This made Naruto blush, but he nodded. Anacondas also told him that this was how Orochimaru was conceived by the manipulations of Manda. He wanted a cruel and snake-like summoner, and he obviously succeeded. When they finally broke them, Naruto moved his arms around Yoruichi and moved her into a sitting position on his lap. She laid her head on his right shoulder, and he ran his right hand through her long purple, silky hair after undoing her ponytail. She sighed in happiness. He was handsome, strong, smart, kind, and all hers for now. 2 years ago, she had, on orders from Anacondas, told Naruto who his father and mother were and about the fox sealed in him. He was pissed. It took a whole day of destroying several training grounds before he calmed down. Then he cried on Yoruichi's shoulder and she cried with him for his pain. After several weeks and lots of long talks, he finally forgave his father and vowed to make his parents proud. After learning that both the Namakas and Uzumaki were famous clans, he decided to combine them into the Namakas Uzumaki clan. This means that, when his identity is finally revealed, he would be forced to follow the Clan Restoration Act and have multiple wives to ensure the clan's survival. He had discussed it with Yoruichi, who told him that she already knew about it and didn't mind, but only if they both approved of the females in question. They spent the night like that, just holding and petting each other, only getting up for a quick dinner of fried rice with beef. When they decided it was time to head in, they changed into their sleepwear. Yoruichi, who always slept in a large t-shirt and grey sweat shorts, snuggled next to Naruto, who slept in only boxers. They wrapped their arms around each other and slowly began to drift off to sleep, comforted by each other's warmth. Yoruichi looked up at Naruto as his eyes drooped. "I love you, snake charmer," she said with loving affection. He looked at her and smiled his foxy smile with his slitted eyes showing his love for her. "I love you too, my Harem." Then he had her one last time before they both fell into a blissful sleep, each with a smile on their face. When Naruto awoke, he found Yoruichi laying her head on his left shoulder, while her hand resting on his chest. He smiled and took her hand in his right hand, squeezed it, and leant over to her on the dot. Her eyes fluttered open, and she saw she was being ed by her man, and smiled as she returned it. When they parted, they were both slightly breathless. "I love waking up like that," Yoruichi said when they parted with a seductive voice and a serpentine grin. Naruto smiled. "I live to please, my Harem." "Damn straight you do," she said with a smirk, to which he answered by singing to her again. After that they both got up and went to the shower. They may not be ready for sex yet, but that doesn't mean they didn't enjoy looking at each other's bodies, let alone the occasional groping. When they exited the shower, light blushes on their smiling faces, they went back to the bedroom and got dressed. Once they were both dressed in their usual attire, they ate a light breakfast of cereal and toast as they spoke of what to do that day and who Naruto-sensei could be. Naruto smiled evilly and Yoruichi returned it. Whoever it was about to get one hell of a surprise. As Naruto and Yoruichi, in her snake from around Naruto's neck, were heading towards the academy, Naruto sighed. Today was the day. The start of his life as a ninja. He raised his hand and touched his new eye plate. On the way home the night before, he'd used a special metal bending and reformed the headband to fit over his eyes and the top of his nose. He'd engraved 2 coiled snakes facing the leaf symbol on it. While reforming the plate of the headband, he'd been reminded of why he wore blindfolds. Remember Naruto. A snake must be completely at ease when fighting blind, as our speed makes it hard to see, and, when lying in wait, you can't always see your prey or predator. Also, now that your eyes have slits like a snake, it would do well not to show them. The ignorant in the village already view you as a demon. If you start to resemble Orochimaru, they will be all the more adamant in trying to kill you. The anacondas paused and chuckled. Plus, it may be funny to see the looks on an enemy's face when you get serious and remove your blindfold. I know it limits you so you can't use more of our hypnotic and fear-based, but those are signature moves of our clan. Use them if you absolutely need to, but wait until you are stronger to use them freely. That had been Anaconda's warning and wisdom years ago when he'd altered Naruto's eyes. Naruto had experimented in secret with a few animals and found that, if they were weak enough, he could scare them to death. So, Naruto put up over his eyes to make them normal while he wore the blindfold. It was just part of the act. Now though, he was unleashed from his restrictions. Yoruichi smiled her serpentine smile as she looked at Naruto. He was finally being himself in public. As Naruto made it to the academy, he stopped just outside the door. He lowered his head a little. "Ready, Hibiheim?" he asked with a smile. Iruchi, in snake form still, smiled her snake smile. "Always, snake charmer." Then, Naruto opened the door and entered. The room went silent. They were all still stunned at this new true Naruto. Sakura wisely, for once, kept her mouth shut. Miracles do happen. Sasuke-eyed Naruto with his usual bored glare, but there was a hint of inquisition in his eyes. Everyone else just looked at him and kept quiet. Hinata looked worried and Kiba, noticing, put his arm around his longtime friend. Naruto acts the same in those years, but never lets anyone see him train, so Hinata never saw him train the first time or followed him and started stalking him. For Naruto Hinata fans, sorry, he'll be paired with older women and another bleach girl. But at least I gave her a non-pervert Kiba. As Naruto sat in the back row, he crossed his arms and waited. Everything went about as expected. The Ino Shikacho group lives again, Kiba, Hinata, and Shino are a tracking team, and the Uchiha, Haruno, and some pale creepy guy obsessed with referring to male genitalia, were the assault group. After Iruka finished with everyone else, Sakura noticed something and voiced her opinion. "Iruka-sensei." He looked at her. "Yes, Sakura. What about Naruto Naruto? He's the only one left and he doesn't have a team?" she asked. "I was getting to that, Sakura," Iruka said with a sigh. "Naruto is being placed with a loan. Like you and your sensei, he has specific qualities that will help him grow and make a good team, even if it is just a two-man cell," Iruka explained. Then, as he was about to ready off the name, a black bowl crashes through the window. It unrolls and Kunai sticks it to the wall to show a huge banner that reads, "The Great and Sexy Anko Mitarashi." The class was stunned. The women half was stunned at the entrance and daring of her mostly fishnet clothing, while the male half were either out with nosebleeds, drooling, or having a mental shutdown. Iruka's sweat dropped and coughed. "Anko, you're early." She blushed and sweat dropped before standing up straight with her right hand scratching behind her head as she smiled weakly. "Oops." Half the class fell down, while Naruto and Yuruchi smirked. Iruka sighed. It was just one of those days. "Naruto, your sensei is Anko." Naruto nodded and walked up to Anko. "I hope to meet your expectations and your approval, Anko-sensei," Naruto said with a bow. Anko smirked, "We'll see. Now, let's go," she yelled as she leapt out the window. Naruto tilted his head to the side and shrugged. He then leapt after her. Everyone could only think one thing. What kind of team are they gonna be? Anko leads Naruto to the Forest of Death. Once there, she took him to the tower and up to the fighting ring with the giant hands in a hand sign pose. She waited for Naruto to join her in the middle of the ring and lunged at him. She tackled him to the ground and hugged him like a boa hugs a mouse. "Naru-kun. We did it. Ha, we're on the same team," she cooed. Yes, Anko-chan. I know. I'm glad too," he said as he sat up and moved her to sit on his lap. Anko smirked and then pulled Naruto's face to her and fed him deeply. Naruto smiled as he remembered when he'd first met the snake mistress. Flashback. It was a warm night 2 years ago, and Naruto, having dropped his disguise for training and going out tonight, was leaping from rooftop to rooftop, looking for a good place to practice. Yuruchi was back at home. She'd been exhausted after training the day before and decided to take a day or two to rest. As Naruto was about to leap to another roof, he heard faint grunts and sounds of pain. He looked down into an alley and said something that made his blood boil. There were 6 men at the alley's entrance, blocking it off, and they appeared to be. Further in the alley were 2 women. One with wine-red eyes and another with short purple hair. Naruto listened in as the men approached. He noticed the women looked like ninjas, but seemed off. Well. Look here, boys. It's the 2 hottest and most elusive pieces of ass in all of the Leaf Village. They all snickered. "Oh, what's wrong? Feeling dizzy? Well, the drugs I slipped into your sake and dango will do that as supposed. Don't worry, we'll make you feel better." The man had a sick expression on his face as he and his friends came closer. Naruto saw the 2 women were weakened and couldn't fight back. He'd seen enough. He jumped down between the 2. He was nearly as tall as the women due to his growth spurt and looked at the men with his blindfold-covered eyes. "I cannot allow you to defile pure leaf maidens like this, vermin," the young man said. The men were surprised and annoyed. Anko and Kurenai were surprised and flattered. They blushed at his proclamation. "But pure maidens. All I see is sex meat in bandages and fishnet wrappings. Now go away, boy, or we will hurt you," the man yelled. Naruto shook his head and removed his blindfold. His eyes were closed as he lifted his head back up. Then, without a second to spare, his eyes flashed open and the 3 fell to their knees. The 2 kunoichi were surprised at this. Who is this guy? Naruto had activated his eye called Snake's Den Fear Gaze. It made whomever it caught in a similar like Tsukiyomi. Except you were in a snake's underground den with a giant blue-eyed snake, and your worst fears were gathering around the serpent and marching towards you. The men were so terrified that they couldn't even scream. Finally, when Naruto released it, they fell down unconscious. Naruto turned to the woman and gasped. His eyes were slitted, but cerulean blue. They vaguely reminded one of Orochimaru, but where the snake Sannin's eyes held cold hunger, this guy's eyes held warmth and comfort. "You are safe now," Naruto said as he walked towards them. "Who are you?" Kurenai asked. Naruto thought for a second. "I am the snake hidden in the leaves." He then made 2 shadow clones that picked up the 2 women and took them to the hospital to get checked out. Once they were dropped off, Naruto's clones dispelled and Naruto continued on his way. Meanwhile, Anko and Kurenai were talking about this strange young man. Anko vowed to find him and either thank him or test his skills. After almost a week she found him while he was in the forest of death. She came upon him as he summoned a snake as big as Manda. Anko was ready. If this guy had the snake contract then Orochimaru was involved. She listened in on the young man and the snake. "Anacondas Sama," the man said. "Anacondas?" Anko had never heard of him before. "Hello Naruto," the huge summon said. Another shocker for Anko. Hers and Kurenai's savior was the Kyuubi container. "So, Anacondas Sama, what will I be learning tonight?" Naruto asked. "Tonight, I will teach you armored scale skin and grass growth, these will offer protection and hide you from enemies. Then, after you have mastered these, I will teach you how to wield the Cage Kusanagi. You must be proficient in it to stand a chance at killing Orochimaru," the huge summon said. Anko was shocked. They want to kill Orochimaru. But why would a snake summon want to kill their contract holder, Anko thought. "I understand Anacondas Sama. Don't worry, as soon as I am strong enough, I will kill the traitorous snake bastard and his tyrant worm Mana. I will free you and the rest of your clan so that the snake contract will come back to the Hidden Leaf village and be a respected clan once more," Naruto said with certainty. Anaconda smiled his serpent smile. "Thank you Naruto." Anko didn't know what to think. The snake summoned Orochimaru and Manda. They wanted to come back and be a respected clan again. Was this real? She decided to test it. She walked out towards them. "Good to see you again, pure maiden," Naruto said as he turned his blindfold-covered eyes to Anko. She blushed. "Damn, he sounds so hot when he talks like that," she thought as she approached. Hey Naruto," she said with a grin she hoped was convincing. She looked up at Anacondas. "Wow, big white snake you have there." She felt like she was looking at a copy of Manda, but with different coloring and kinder eyes. "Well, thank you. But I'm surprised you haven't commented on Anacondas Sama," Naruto said with a smile. Anko went through several shades of red as she looked at him and blushed realizing how her last statement had been interpreted. That's not what I was talking about," she said with clenched fists. Anacondas laughed and Naruto smirked. "I know, but you were so tense. If we're going to talk, I would like for us to be comfortable. I assume you heard everything while you were hiding back there." Naruto, without moving his head, pointed to the exact spot she had been. She let her head fall in shame for being detected. She raised her head and smiled sheepishly as she looked at him. "Oh, sorry about that." Naruto chuckled. "It's fine. Now, what did you wish to know? Also, what is your name? I could continue to call you Pure Flower, but I would like to get to know you better than a title." Anko blushed again. She seemed to be doing that a lot around Naruto. "Well, I'm Anko Midarashi. I wanted to thank you for helping my friend Kurenai and me. I'd also like to know what's this about Manda and Orochimaru and you killing them." Naruto looked thoughtful. He was still trying to make up his mind when a female voice was heard. "I think we can trust her Naruto-kun." Anko looked around for the owner of that voice. It seemed to come from behind Naruto, but there was no one there. Then she saw it. An orange snake slithered out from around Naruto's neck. It slithered down to the ground and moved away from Naruto. When it was a few feet away from him, a big cloud of smoke poofed into existence. When the cloud disappeared, there stood a girl Naruto's height and age standing next to him with her arms crossed under her fairly developed. Anko thought she was pretty cute, and the fact that she had a grin that matched the one she usually wore helped out with her instantly liking the dark-skinned girl. Naruto looked at her. "Do you think so, Yoruchi?" Naruto asked. She walked over to him, swaying her hips in a way Anko understood, and that had Naruto, with his sightless vision, rooted to the spot he was on, and wrapped her arms around him from behind, pressing her nice size into his back. She smiled sweetly. "Yes, I do. I told you I've watched this village for some time, and I know she hates Orochimaru as much as you and the rest of the Snake Clan does. She was his student, and he left her like trash after putting a curse seal on her. And because of that, the villagers treat her similar to how they treat you. She also wears the mask of a sex-crazed, blood-obsessed psycho to keep people from hurting her again. She only allows Kurenai and the old man to see her real self. Yuruchi said as she looked at Enko. Enko was stunned. This snake girl person had just nailed her entire profile on the head. She didn't think anyone would know that much about her. Naruto looked down for a moment and then reached up and took off his blindfold. He looked Enko in the eyes. Enko gasped. She could see it as plain as day. She saw his pain, his loneliness, and his fear of being hurt by anyone who approached him. She'd eyes like that every time she'd looked into a mirror. Behind both their masks, they were the same fragile, broken, lonely people that had wanted nothing more than one simple thing to hold onto in their lives. Naruto saw much the same in Enko's eyes. As much as his blind sight skills would allow him to see, Naruto still found that the real way to know someone was to look into their eyes. That was another reason why he'd wanted to wear his blindfold on top of training reasons. He didn't want anyone to see the workings of his soul or his pain. Naruto walked over to Enko and placed his hand on her shoulder. I would like to tell you some things about Enko-chan. If you listen. Naruto asked hesitantly. Enko nodded and they both sat down on the ground as Naruto took a breath and started to explain. He told her everything. Everything he knew about himself, about why he was training to kill Orochimaru and why he wanted to be a ninja. Without realizing it, after Naruto was done, Enko started to tell Naruto everything about her. Her past, her old sensei, her friends, how hard it was to be betrayed and how the village treated her. By the end, both had silent tears running down their faces and Enko sobbed a little. Naruto opened his arms and she dove in. He held her and let her cry, much as Yuruchi had for him a while ago. Yuruchi looked on and smiled. Sure, she was a little jealous that another woman was hugging Naruto, but she knew that it would eventually happen and she was glad it was someone who shared his pain. Yuruchi had a stray thought then. Maybe Enko could be one of Naruto's. She let that thought go and decided to wait and see how they would get along before going any further. Anaconda smiled down at the two humans. He knew of Enko since she was the only other snake summoner of the old contract besides Orochimaru. He wished he could have met her before now, but she never summoned the larger summons for fear of accidentally summoning Manda. He silently poofed away and let them be until he was called again. That evening, Naruto and Enko talked more and became friends. Naruto introduces Enko to Yuruchi and they hit it off very well. Well enough to make Naruto nervous when they both gave him the same sweet mischievous smile. Oh no. Another Yuruchi with kunai. Naruto mentally wailed as he sweated. From then on, for the next couple of years, Naruto and Enko would hang out a few times a week when she didn't have missions and just have fun. Yuruchi explained that, because of certain gifts for being the new contract summoner, Naruto would have a nearly adult body by 13 and stay like that for a good while. She also let it slip about Naruto's parents and the eventual Clan Restoration Act requirements. Enko her at the thought. She and Yuruchi confronted Naruto and asked him what he thought about Enko being his wife someday. Naruto weighed the thoughts in his head. Enko was hot, kind, beautiful, skilled, strong, affectionate, loyal, and knew his pain. She was also sadistic and crazy as hell sometimes, but he could live with it, he hoped. Plus, Yuruchi had fun with Enko, and they got along like sisters, which Naruto could almost swear they were at times. So, he smiled and nodded and got down on one knee, as he had done with Yuruchi, and took Enko's hand. Enko Harem, I don't have a ring yet, and I haven't gotten my family name back either, but if you could find it in your heart, would you marry me? Naruto asked as his deep blue uncovered eyes looked into her light purple ones. Enko was touched. Except for Naruto, no one ever treated her like a lady and still respected her as an equal. She smiled as a small tear made its way down from her left eye. Yes, Naruto-kun, I would love to. Naruto let out a smile that looked like it would split his face in half. He stood and reached up to cup Enko's face. He pulled her forward and just before they met, he looked at her. I love you, Enko Harem, thank you. He then at her. It was soft, slow, and filled with all the passion one could squeeze into that tiny amount of contact. Enko was in a haze of love and a tingling feeling that felt unbelievable. She knew Naruto was pouring a small amount of chakra into her and he was directing it to every nerve in her skin. When they broke up, Naruto and Enko looked at each other with goofy grins on their faces. Ahem, Yuruchi said as she made her presence known. Enko and Naruto looked over at her as she walked over to them and smirked. My turn. She said as she wrapped her arms around Enko's neck and pulled her into a deep passionate tongue-filled dot. They moaned into each other's mouths as they lasted for a few minutes. When they parted, a slight bridge of saliva disappearing between their warm mouths, they looked over to see Naruto out cold with a huge river of blood rushing down from his nose. Enko chuckled. I guess we were too much for him, Hayori-chan. Enko said with a sly smile. Yuruchi smirked back. He'll get used to it eventually. We'll just have to do it more often to build up his immunity to a point. Enko laughed. Oh, I think this is going to be one hell of a family, Yori-chan. Yuruchi smiled. You bet, Enko-chan. Naruto, still knocked out, had visions of snake women dancing around in his head. His only conscious thought was, "Kami, thank you." Flashback end. As Naruto and Anko continued on the arena floor, Yuruchi had already changed back and put her arms around Naruto's neck and leaned into his back. "Settle down you two, we can pick this up at home later," she said in a sensuous voice as she Naruto's ear in a way that made both him and Anko shudder in delight. Since Anko had agreed to being with Naruto and Yuruchi, they had moved in together at Anko's in secret and shared the same bed when Anko wasn't on missions. The three of them were all virgins and wanted to keep it that way until they could relax and enjoy it or their wedding night, whichever came first. Anko stood up and Naruto soon followed with Yuruchi still on his back. "Alright Naru-kun. We're staying here tonight and tomorrow, the tort training begins. Don't think I'll go easy on you just cause you're my man now," Anko said with a smirk. Naruto and Yuruchi returned the smirk. "I wouldn't expect anything less, Anko-sensei." Then the three let out a chilling laugh. In his office, the old Hokage suddenly got a chill running down his spine. "I get the feeling my life is about to get more troublesome." Dumail Nara sneezed and the old man tried to calm his nerves with his little orange book. Naruto contract is not a part of the snake fags as his own, so the snakefag will not know that Naruto can summon snakes yet. Anko will sign Naruto's snake contract later on and help train him. Naruto's Kage Kusanagi will only be used on Orochimaru only. Naruto will use his Zanpakuto only on people he think will be a challenge, much like Ulquiorra not using his sword most of the time, using hand-to-hand combat or ninja tools and jutsu. The Asapta will help teach Naruto. Manda knows that most snakes hate him but are too scared to rebel since he has most high-powered snakes on his side. Most snakes are and will stay and be loyal to Manda, and Orochimaru the ones that hate them as side with there are some that are too afraid to rebel. Thought speech and pissed of Naruto it's so big Shiva said. Yelling and very pissed of Naruto speech Naruto it's so big Shiva said. Story speech Naruto it's so big Shiva said. Story start now. Wake up, it's time to begin your training. Anko said with a grin that would make Orochimaru proud. 5 more minutes of Anko Harem. Naruto said asked. "If you get up now I will buy you all the ramen you want for the next month," she said. Naruto didn't need anything else to be said. He started running around the tower getting ready as fast as he could. "You know Anko-chan, that was a dirty thing for you to say to get him up. You're not going to buy him ramen at all, are you?" Yuruchi asked. He would eat up all my savings if I let him," Anko said back. "You so cruel, you know that right?" Yuruchi, is in her human form, said with a grin. "Yeah, I know." Anko responded seductively before ing her on and pushing Yuruchi onto the bed and hopping on top of her. Naruto was in a great mood today. One, he had a badass but sexy sensei Anko Mitarashi, and two, aforementioned sensei promised to buy all the ramen he wanted for the next month. Stepping into the shower, he couldn't help but think about his conversion with Anko, about the night he saved her in Kurenai. Flashback no jutsu. "Naruto-kun, you know Kurenai, the other woman that you saved that night?" Anko asked while resting her head on his chest. Yuruchi was asleep with her head on his shoulder, letting loose a small snore. "Yes, what about her?" he asked. "I was wondering if I could tell her about us, you and the snakes. She's my best friend, one of the few people that didn't call me the snake or snake bitch, and ever since that night you saved us she has been looking for you. She is also beginning to see how different I act and knows something is up." Anko asked, hoping he would say yes. "Sure, I see nothing wrong with it, but I must ask why?" he questioned. "I wanted to see if she would like to join your harem," she said back. "I see nothing wrong with wait my what," Naruto screamed. He knew that he might have ended up having to go under the craw, but he never thought that his Jiji would really do that and put him through it, let alone the civilian council. He must have told them, yet this is going to be so fun, Naruto thought to himself evilly. "Your harem, since you're the last of the Uzumaki and Namikaze clans, you fall under the craw, meaning you need to have more than one wife to rebuild, said clans the Hokage told me to tell you when I was waiting to get you from the academy." Anko phrased like it was the simplest thing in the world. "Why does my life have to be so hard?" Naruto thought to himself while crying and I'm tears. "Wait, I have never heard of the Uzumaki being a clan before," he asked confused. The Uzumaki were the ones who that put an end to the clan wars. They helped build Konohagakure no Sato. They owned the other half of the village that the Senju didn't, along with a country called Yuzu no Kuni. And to answer how you're related to the Namikaze clan, it's because the Yondaime Hokage, as you know, is your father. Anko1 said. "Anko-chan, can you tell me what you know about the Uzumaki clan?" he asked, hoping she knew at least little about his clan. "Sure, and the Hokage said he would like to see you in the morning also," Anko responded happily. Flashback no Jutsu Kai. "Who would have thought that I own half of the village? I can't wait to see the villagers' faces when they find out they treated the son of the strongest Hokage worse than the slaves of Iwa." Naruto laughed to himself while stepping out of the shower and toweling off. Naruto began to dress, putting on a pair of orange boxers, black mesh shirt, dark green jacket, black shinobi pants, shinobi sandals, and finally placing his headband over his eyes. Leaving the bathroom and walking back to the room he shared with Anko and Yuruchi, he saw that Yuruchi and Anko were waiting for him with a heavy scent of sex in the air and covering each other. "You two didn't do what I think you did you?" he asked. Maybe, you were in the shower for a long time, Anko-chan, and I just had little fun while we waited on you. Isn't that right, Anko-chan?" Yuruchi said before slapping the older woman's ass. "Naruto-kun, if you didn't take so long you could have joined us," Anko said while laying the younger woman on the dot. Hearing something hit the ground with a loud thump, they turned and saw that Naruto was passed out with a nosebleed. "You know it will be a while before Naruto wakes up," Anko said. "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Yuruchi asked. "What a naughty girl you are, Yuruchi," Anko responded. "But you like it when I am naughty, Yuruchi said. "Yeah, I do," Anko said back before ing her on the dot. "Wait, Yo-chan, I have to tell Naruto-kun something," Anko responded while walking over to Naruto. Anko whispered something into his ear, waking him with a scream "Nuo," before passing out again. "So Anko-chan, what did you say to him?" Yuruchi asked. "I lied about the ramen," Anko said between giggles. "Anko, you have been a bad girl for lying. I think you need to be punished," Yuruchi said in a sultry voice. "I would like that," Anko said happily before being ed forcefully. "But the old pervert." Sarutobi Hiruzen was having a good day. He got all of the day's paperwork done, and the new itchy busty love that stared, a busty blonde with pigtails and a young blonde with ocean blue eyes, that seemed familiar to him, and like the pervert he is, didn't notice a blonde sitting in front of his desk shaking his head. Somewhere in the land of fire, Tsunade Senju was a happy woman. Why? Because she had just won the jackpot at slots when she suddenly started to sneeze. "Someone must be talking about me, it better not be that pervert, and I hope it's my Foxy Kun too," Tsunade thought, while her inner fangirl screamed and held you a sign that reads "Go Foxy-kun, I love you." Back to the Hokage. "Digi, should you really be reading the smut? What would your wife think if I told her?" Naruto said while smirking. "Naruto-kun, when did you come in?" the Hokage asked nervously, not want his wife to find out. "Ever since you started to giggle like a pervert," he said while looking at his Gigi, hoping that he didn't become a pervert like him unless my hymes are a part of it, he thought to himself while inwardly giggling like a pervert. Dismissing the Anbu and activating the seals in his office. "Naruto-kun, I'm sure Anko told you that you fell under the craw and that you will have harem. What I'm about to tell you is a SSS class secret your father was," he started but stopped when Naruto raised his hand. "Digi, I know who my parents are and the Kyuubi, but why didn't you tell me?" he asked. "Naruto-kun, you have to understand that you parents have many enemies. If I had told you in the village you would have assassinations and all others searching for you. I didn't want you to be in danger," he said fearfully as he saw Naruto growing anger. He started seeing the outline of a snake as big as Manda. "You all should know what he looks like now." "I would have been in danger, you say? Ever since my birth I have had people try to kill me every day until I became a genin. Do you know what it's like, all the beatings, having to look through trash just to get to the next day? I still have all the scars from it," he said with his rage out of control. Scars I don't see," he said, both shocked and disappointed himself in the village. "That because I use a powerful genjutsu that neither the Hyuga Uchiha or even you can dispel or see, though that was taught to me by Hakucho Swan," Naruto said, getting his anger under wraps. Removing his jacket and mesh shirt, dispelling the genjutsu with a quick eye, the Hokage saw all the wound markings from his right shoulder to his left hip. Kyuubi no Yoki was craved into him. One of his arms looked like it was cut off and reattached. On his back was an image of the Kyuubi brand on him like a tattoo, but on his chest, it looked like someone had shoved their hand full of lightning through his heart, and across all visible parts of him were scars that ranged tiny to medium in size and shape. "Nah, Naruto, I hope that you can forgive this old fool for not to protecting you better. It's just the civilian," Hiruzen started, but stopped when he saw the anger within Naruto was rising. "Look, Gigi, I don't hate you, but it will be a while before I can truly trust you, and fuck those civilians. You are the Hokage, they have to listen to you, not the other way around. What happened to the man that was one of the best Hokages this village has ever had since my father died? The civilians have been ing all the power from you, turning you into nothing but a puppet. I mean, they have turned the Hokage title into nothing but a hyper paper pusher that has no real power. Well, they just sit on their fat ass, ordering you the Hokage around like a bitch. You need to man up and show them who the fuck is the real person in charge." The blonde Jinchuriki ranted, smashing his fist on the oak desk, cracking it a little. "You're right, Naruto-kun." The old Hokage lowered his head down in shame. "I have let those civilians take the power from me, but that will change starting now," Sarutobi said with fire in his eyes burning brightly. "Come on, Naruto-kun, it's time we tell them about your parents and heritage. Also, happy birthday. How about later tonight I take you out for all the ramen you want?" he said with a happy grin but inwardly already feeling his wallet getting lighter, the thought of taking Naruto out for all the ramen he could eat. Gigi, if you're lying to me about the ramen, bad things are going to happen to you and your little book. Naruto threatened lightly. Hiruzen raised his hands in defeat to save his precious novel. Deactivating the seals and summoning Anbu, he told them to inform the council of an important meeting and they were needed now. Council chamber 10 minutes later. Sarutobi, what is so important you had the Anbu come get us? Danzo asked. That's Hokage-sama to you and everyone else, I have let you push me around far too much, and it all stops here today, am I clear? The Hokage said, while unleashing some Kai. Hi Hokage-sama. Was their answer but one. Fuck you Sarutobi, we are in control here, not you, and you will do what we say, and I order you to kill that demon brat and snake now. Said a fat councilman wearing a cheap black suit. Anbu, take this trash to Ibiki and tell him he's free to do whatever he wants for trying to order around the Hokage. Anyone else want to try and order me around, I dare you. Letting loose more Kai. But now, as you know, 13 years ago the Kai Ubi attacked our village, but what you didn't know was also on that day his child was born. We got that out the way. The reason why I called you here is the Yondaime had a son and also a bloodline. The Hokage continued. Everyone was shocked, but none more than Danzo and his helpers, all the clan's head, but one were not as shocked since they suspected that he had a son. Mikoto Uchiha was the only one not shocked, period, as she was there was when Naruto was born. The Yondaime had a son and a bloodline. Why didn't you tell us before? This is an important matter that should have been discussed after his death. A civilian said angrily, forgetting who he was talking to. You dare order me around like I am a common civilian, you forget who you are talking to. Be happy that I don't have you taken to be reacquainted with proper manners, the Hokage said, leaking Kai to get his point across before calming his Kai, seeing as a few of the council passed out. Hokage-sama, why didn't you tell us until now? Kaharu asked. Because Minato-kun asked me not to, but in recent events I have no choice but to tell you since Minato's son figured it out himself along with his bloodline. The old monkey summoner said. Hokage-sama, you said that the Yondaime-sama had a bloodline, why hasn't anyone witnessed it yet? Inoichi asked. The Hokage couldn't help but smirk after hearing that you have seen his bloodline at one point or another. Hiruzen responded while trying not to laugh at their confused faces. The tri-pronged kunai, it was a part of his bloodline and a part of his soul, that is the way his bloodline works. Every member of his clan would undergo a form of meditation in which they search the soul of the blade. From what I was told, every sword was different, and so were the abilities granted by them. Never has an ability been seen twice. But Hokage-sama, the Yondaime never carried around a sword, only the kunai. Care to explain that for us? Tsume asked. Yes, I can, Tsume-chan. You see, there were individuals so powerful that it was impossible for them to seal their Zanpakuto, so they were trapped in their released forms. The Hokage said. Hokage-sama, you keep talking about sealed and released forms, what are you talking about? Mikoto asked. I am too lazy to explain it, so go look it up. Many on the council were shocked at what they had heard, and many started plans to get one of their daughters into marriage with the Yondaime's son, well Danzo, well he was just being Danzo. Lol. Nico, go inform the Yondaime's legacy that he can enter now. The aged Hokage said with smirk. Hi Hokage-sama. Nico responded before leaving the room. 5 minutes later, Nico had yet to return. A second Anbu was summoned to retrieve the two people. Not a minute after the Anbu departed, he was thrown back into the room with an unhappy Naruto and Nico, who looked to be a little shaky in the legs. What do you old shits want? I was busy doing something important and very pleasurable. Naruto said with his eyebrow twitching. What are you doing here, boy? Get out now, we are waiting for the Yondaime's son, and we don't need them. I mean you here, one of the civilians said. Well, it's clear as day. Gigi asked Nico-chan here to come and get me, which lead me to believe that I am the Yondaime's son. Naruto said with a bored tone, and for the 5 minutes there were sounds of outrage and hate coming from most of the council members when Naruto walked in and started yelling that Thedemon wasn't the Yondaime's son, or that he should be put in the Anbu assassination squads that had the lowest chances of survival. Letting a headache form all the yelling, the Hokage finally stopped them. Enough. Naruto is the son of the Yondaime. I was there along with Mikoto, and if you don't believe me, here is the birth certificate signed by the Yondaime and Kushina Uzumaki, aka Aki Suzume3. But what you don't know is that the Uzumaki own half of this village, along with most of your shit. The Hokage said happily, causing the civilians to go into a frenzy again while screaming that the demon brat neither owned half of the leaf or could be the son of their hero. Enough. Naruto the Yondaime's son, and he owns half of the leaf. If you got a problem with it, then you can leave now. Seeing no one exit, the Hokage continued where he left off. Hiruzen revealed to every occupant of the room 4 large scrolls, the first being yellow, second orange, then brown, and finally white. These were the scrolls left behind by the Yondaime for his son. Now Minato-kun mastered the art Fuinjutsu. He put a seal on them so that only someone with his blood can open them. Naruto-kun, these rightfully belong to you. The Hokage said, handing them our favorite blonde hero. Thanks Gigi, but I'm not letting you off the hook that easily, just give me your new Ichi and you will be one step closer to regaining my trust. Naruto4 said with a grin. Nuo, not my Ichi please Naruto, anything else I beg of you, just don't take me baby from me. Hiruzen begged, hugging the orange book to his chest. Gigi, you're making a scene and I guess I will have to tell your wife. Naruto said with a serpent-like grin. Oh please don't tell her. Seeing the predatory smile Naruto sported, the aged Hokage knew he was defeated. Alright, take it, but please take good care of Ichihime. With tears flowing like a waterfall, Sarutobi handed over his new Ichi signed by Jiraiya. A metaphorical black corner appeared around Hiruzen as he sulked and muttered on about giving up his book. Many of the council could only sweat drop at the childish behavior displayed by their leader. Tsume on the other hand whipped a camera out from between his luscious bosom and snapped a few pictures, thinking of the perfect blackmail material for later. Ahem, Hokage-sama, Naruto-san, I believe we need to get back to the business at hand. Shibi said. Sighing deeply, still mourning for his loss, the Hokage agreed. You're right, now Naruto, I need you to open the brown scroll first. Alright Gigi, Naruto said before safely putting his Ichi away in his kunai pouch, seeing as it was empty at the moment. Naruto pumped his chakra into the seal on the scroll, and with small plume of smoke, two much smaller scrolls with the kanji for contracts and keys were in his hand. Gigi, what now? Naruto asked, not sure what to do next. Read the one that says contracts and you tell me, it was meant for your eyes only. The Hokage said. Okay then. Naruto responded while opening the scroll and lifting his headband out of the way, but keeping his head angled so that no one saw the change to his eyes, and he began reading the contents. Dear Naruto, if you're reading this, that must mean you're a genin now, and that Hiruzen Sarutobi told you who I am. First off, I want you to know I love you with all my heart and that I never meant to hurt you in any way. Unfortunately, this is not the time for my apologies. Now Naruto, this scroll is different from the other because it's a marriage contract your mother and I wrote up for you. The first one was with the Uhi clan head Shinkuhime5. You are set to marry her daughter Kurenai whenever possible for the both of you. The next one is a little, how should I put it, different. You see Naruto, during my time as Hokage I have seen many things. One such thing was a place called Outworld Boy. Was it strange? Anyways, I had came across a humanoid race called Shokin. They're half dragon half human and are the enemies of the Centaurian, a race of beings whose bodies resemble hybrids of humans, horses, bulls. And what I was told by the leaders Queen Mai and King Gorbak, that to race have been at war for so long that it was lost to history. Now Naruto, the Shokin have slowly been losing the war, and by the time you read this many will have been wiped out, so I made a deal with the king and queen. You are to be married to their daughter Princess Shiva on your 13th birthday. That being said, you should tell Gigi. Because they will in the council chamber in 3-2. As Naruto got done, a large portal on in the middle of the room, a single figure stepped out, followed by a smaller one soon after. That the portal disappeared. Have fun son, you're going to need it with the friends your mother had. Their children are going to be far worse. Haha to be haha your ass, Kami, make it stop, it hurts, make it stops and you're really going to need it. Haha. Naruto read his eyebrow twitching at the end. That seems to be happening a lot to him today. Who are you? State your name and reason being here. Nico asked, her sword ready to attack with her squad at the ready. My name human is Queen Mai, and this is my daughter Princess Shiva. We are her for my daughter's fiance. Queen Mai said. While as of this was going down, Naruto looked over the two women, and judging by the way the taller of the two carried herself and the style of her armor, he knew she was Queen Mai. She was over at least 75, maybe 76, with a large X-shaped scar on her face, forearms, all of which were heavily scarred as a monument to all the battles she's been in, and the put Tsune to shame, one of which had looked to be the claw-like scars. Think bigger version of Shiva and scared version of Shiva's Mortal Kombat Armageddon outfit on the one with the chins. So that made the other one Princess Sheva. She has her 2011 first outfit on, which left little to the imagination. Naruto couldn't help but look over the Shokin princess, her 7 feet even frame, easily dwarfing everyone in the room, her tan skin that looked so delicious good, and muscled upper set of arms were folded under her, while her equally muscled underset were at her side, but ready to fight. If neither long shapely leg were toned to a great degree, everything about her screamed, "Don't fuck with me or I will kill you." But the only thing that was on Naruto's mind was, goddamn, they have some nice sets of on them. I wonder if they are as soft as they look. Just one grab, that's it. Naruto thought like that he was pervert with drops of blood come from his nose with his hand in a twitching, with the need to grab the set of I must remember to thank Iruchi for turning me into a pervert, it's the best thing ever. Naruto thought while gazing at Shiva's on par with Tsunede's that didn't go unnoticed by Shiva, who pushed her out more, as if asking her fiancé to grab them. It looks like my little kitsune fiancé is a pervert, but why am I not mad about it? Shiva thought to herself with a smirk, since she usually would beat the living hell out of anyone that looked to her like a sex object. It's like he is worshipping a goddess or something. If he wants to treat me like a goddess, then I guess I can live with it for now. She thought to herself. Damn, she is so beautiful, the body of a goddess that I will love worshipping to I mine. Come on Kami, she has got to have the best set of legs I have ever seen. Naruto thought to himself happily. And who is that the aged Hokage taking a battle stance, asked, breaking Naruto out of his perverted dreamland. That would be me. It seems father made a deal with my Sama here, in exchange for marrying Shiva Haim. They and all of their kind would be under the Namikaze protection and live on Namika's land, am I right? Naruto asked. Yes, you're right, but will you honor your father's deal and marry my daughter and help my race? Queen Mai asked. All eyes turned to Naruto waiting for his reply. I will honor my father's deal and marry your daughter Mai Sama, Naruto said happily. Naruto-sama, you can't be serious, they're demons, they could be tricking you so they can release the Kyuubi. Screamed a pink-haired man by the name of Kodama 6-7 who was smacked on the back of his head by his wife, Nikko8, fair in the milf with shoulder-length light pink hair. The cup and heart-shape ass and nice shapely legs. Damn Naruto, you need to get on that now. And the mother of Sakura fair in Haruno, okay never mind, the heiress of the Haruno clan and lighting FARRON9, Haruno the heiress of the Farron clan, and one of the best Anbu out there on par with Yugao. What have I told you about yelling so? Loud said while glaring at him. The Dama, how are they? Demon, tell me I just she a goddess in the flesh whose body that I will enjoy exploring, and if I ever hear anyone call any of their race or any one of my wives like that again, I will kill them on the spot. Am I clear? Naruto said in a deathly flat voice while unleashing some Kai. But Naruto-sama, I am trying to look out for you well-being. They told be demon looking to free the Kyuubi, I mean with their odd appearance and them just coming in here, you never know, Kodama said, trying to reason with the young him. Get even more upset, he quickly said, hi Naruto-sama, forgive me Ime-sama, Shiva-sama. I was too judgmental of you, it's just Minato was one of my close friend of mine's and asked me to carry you if anything should have happened to him, and your mother, me and my wife would have been the ones to rise in the event of their deaths, but those. Kodama said, pointing at a few others, council's man blocked me and my wife's attempts when we tried to adopt you. Kodama said. Is this true, Jiji? Naruto asked the aged Hokage. Yes Naruto-kun, it is indeed true. Almost every clan head except Fugaku Uchiha and Hiashi Huiga, both for their own reasons, tried to help them, and you, but by then I had allowed the council to have control, Sarutobi said. Damn those assholes, they always find a way to fuck me over. Maybe I should feed them to one of my snakes. Naruto mentally laughed as he imagined some of the council members running from his snakes only for a rock to appear. Put of no, were causing them to trip, giving the snakes enough time to catch the falling man, and slowly started to eat them feet first, all the while Naruto was watching with a bag of popcorn handy. Thank you Naruto-kun for defending my daughter and I, Queen Mai said, breaking Naruto out of his little world of pain, death and snakes devouring men. Well, you are going to be my mother-in-law, so it better if I start getting on your good side now. Naruto said with a foxy grin that made Tsume and Makoto just want fuck him. So true Naruto, Queen Mai said with a small chuckle at her possible son-in-law. Naruto-kun, what does rest of the contract say you're marrying? Tsume said, not noticing the kun suffix added. Next you will be marrying Taiya no Genkaku-10 of the Succubus clan. Your mother was the one with her friends Gurumu Kurono, the ruling queen of the Succubus clans. She will be the one to explain her marriage contracts. May Kami have Mekri on your soul, you're going to need it. Why do I have a feeling that this is going to start off bad for me, Naruto thought to himself. Reading the next half of the scroll written by his mom. AMUSUKO son, I can't tell you how much I love you and how proud I am to say my Naruto, you will be marrying Taiya, the daughter of my childhood friend Kurumu, and I must warn you, when the last time I went and visited, her daughter was around 7 years old and swearing more than most seasoned. If nothing goes wrong then you will meet her around the time of the Chunin exam, so you got a long time to prepare for the most swearing you will ever hear in your life, and don't try to get her to stop. I saw the last time someone tried to stop her and didn't end well. I hope you have fun with your wife Naruto-kun. Next you will be marrying Mai Terumi. It has always been a tradition for our two clan to have alliance through marriage, and I know you're thinking that then why didn't I marry one of them? It's because our home was destroyed before I could have a chance to see if I liked any of the man and woman, and yes, I am bisexual. All Uzumaki women are bisexual by nature, in order for us to find the one we want to spend our life. Getting back to the task at hand, I had set this up with Mai's mother when she was still pregnant, which was about 20 years ago by the time you read this. Terumi have a bloodline that allow them to create lava and steam release, so don't piss her off, or you will have to say goodbye to Naruto Jr. Love you always, your mother. So Naruto-kun, who will you be marrying? Makoto asked. It appears that I will be marrying Shiva Haim Kurenai, woman by the name Mai Terumi, and lastly Taiya no Genkaku. She hails from a clan of Succubus, and Anko. Oops, did I say that last one out loud? Naruto scratched the back of his sheepishly, hoping no one caught his slip. Naruto-sama, that snake is a bad choice of a wife, it would be wise to find another person for your consideration. A random civilian said. What did you just say, asshole? I know I didn't just hear you call my Anko-chan snake, Naruto said, unleashing Kai until the man passed out. I thought so, Naruto said to himself as he calmed down. Nico, go get Kuranayu Ithi, Hokage ordered. Hi Hokage sama, Nico said before shunshin the room. So seeing we're going to be here a while, I might as well get to know you, my fiancé, on bed, Naruto thought so himself. It had been 2 whole months since the council had found about his family noble background, and the public had somehow found out about his parents, and after much yelling ki from the old monkey, and deaths civilians and or a ninja or two, most of them, finally got it through their head that Naruto was the son of 2 of the most famous clan in all of the world, and that was when the problems of the civilians tried to get him to wed their daughters so that they should get political power for themselves. Women divorced their husbands at the chance to marry the heir of Konoha, as he was called by many. There were some good things to happen to him as well. He married his goddess Shiva a few weeks after their meeting, and Naruto could happily say that he loved her and she loved him, not that she liked to show it around others, much to the civilians' diss, not that he cared what they getting her to open up was easier than he thought it would be. Flashback no jutsu. So Shiva-chan, care to tell me a little about yourself? Naruto asked a 4-armed goddess as they waited for Nico's return. Why do you want to know anything about me? She said rather coldly. Come on, we're going to have to marry each other, we might as well get to know each other, Naruto said with a foxy grin that could normally melt an icy persona, keyword being normally all he got was a big fat cold no from the 4-armed goddess. Come on, I don't want our marriage to be so cold, I want to get to know the woman that I'm going to wed, Naruto said. No, there will be no point in getting to know you, I am doing this for my people only, Shiva said sternly. Please, Naruto asked while use his Kitsune no Jutsu Aka, the big-eyed fox jutsu. Fine, but if you ask anything perverted I will bet the living hell out of you, she said back. Yes, Naruto yelled out happily. Flashback no Jutsu Kai. Their moving in was a major problem, though many of the civilians saw them as demons, so they tried to stay away from them as much as they, and then there was a certain duck-butted shaped haired Uchiha who could take a hint even if it were to bitch, slapped him in the face, always challenge him to fights. Flashback no Jutsu. A few hours ago. Don't fight me, said a certain duck-butt-haired Uchiha as Naruto lay in a tree petting Tora, the demon cat who was purring in content as her new master stroked her fur. Turning to look down at Sasuke. Why would I fight you, Sasuke? Naruto asked. Because I am a lead and you're just a dead last clan-less loser whose mother was a no more than a common who got lucky with the 4th Hokage and ended up knocked up and blackmailed him into marrying her. Sasuke yelled. No, Uchiha, I see no point in fighting you, and also if you ever taking about my mother like that again, I promise you'll never live to see the next day, Naruto said with a lot Kai, before he went back to laying in his tree with Yuruchi curled around his neck asleep with Tora purring happily in his lap as he stroked her fur. The Kakyu no Jutsu, Sasuke shooting the fireball at the tree with his Sharingan SPINNING1. Hein Sasuke, since you want to fight me, meet me in the Ichuanin exam stadium in a few hours. Naruto said before he shunshin home. Soon dope you will know you place in this world, Sasuke thought before leaving the area. Flashback no Jutsu Kai. The Uzumaki clan home was not really a home, it was more like a fortress. It had a 10-foot tall wall surrounding the inner yard, had a zen garden with a pond filled with koi fish swimming around peacefully, with a few Shokin children feeding them. As for the Shokin themselves, they numbered less than 150. Proof of the war's price and toll of the Shokin were pregnant women, children and the elderly, with so few in number, they chose to stay in a second smaller home not far from them, the main one. The main home itself was huge, standing at over 5 stories, over 40 rooms and full bathrooms, 2 onsen, a armory and forge, a war room and a few other things. In Naruto's room. So Naruto-kun, I hear you going to fight the Uchiha, Anko said, eyeing him on the as she entered her bedroom and said in front of him. Where did you hear that? Naruto asked her, warping his arms around her stomach and pulling her into a hug and resting his head on her shoulder before eyeing her on the cheek. Everyone's talking about the fight of the great clan's heirs. The Uchiha has been telling everyone about your fight and how he was going to put you in your place in this world, Anko said, enjoying the feel of his arms. Did he? Well, I am going to fix that then, Naruto said while squeezing Anko butt. You really are a pervert, Foxy-kun, Anko said playfully as she wiggled her butt. Only yours and the others, Naruto said with a small smile. Try not to bet the Uchiha's prissy ass too much, okay, Anko said with a small laugh. I will try, Naruto said, eyeing her neck before letting her go. I love you, Foxy-kun, Anko said, eyeing him on the before leaving their bedroom. Naruto-sama said, a clam but almost Gale-like voice called. Walking over to the Nadachi on the stand, and he traced the length of the blade before picking it up, always admiring the beauty of the blade. Forgive me, Hime2-chan, it was never my intent to forget you, Naruto said, setting on down with the blade in his lap. I forgive you this time, but don't let it happen again, the blade said somewhat playfully. Smirking, he closed his eyes and entered his inner world. Inner world. Naruto opened his eyes and found himself in an open grassy field with several windmills blowing lazily into the bottom of a small hill was a lake with a single figure standing at the down to the lake. He was undoubtedly certain the figure was a female standing 5'5". Her pale skin and features were only highlighted by the various shades of blue and gray of the jinihito she wore. Her face was hard, shaped with stunning light blue tick and waist length, light gray hair. Her is put up like sewed no Shirayuki from Bleach, a pair of Jetta lay to her right. Turning her head she saw her master looking her over, while saying along the line as beautiful, which made her blush and turn smiled when he saw his partner of mind and soul turn away with blushing. Harem-chan, Naruto said using the nickname for his Zanpakuto while hugging her. From into the hug she enjoyed the contact of her master and secret love. So Harem-chan, when are you going to tell me your name? Naruto asked, turning around so she was facing him. She placed her hand over his heart, enjoying the feel of the organ rhythmic beat. I would you Naruto-sama. Harem said move her so that they were gazing his. When you're ready she said, she quickly moving away before he could her with a playful smirk on her face as she left a stunned Naruto behind as so started to walking along the shore of the lake. That little minx well too can play that game, Naruto thought to himself with a smile to catch up with the sword spirit before accidentally tripping while calling out Harem's name, and as she turned around reached out and gasped anything to stop his fall, which was the front of her jinihito. The fabric ripped easily allowing Naruto a good vary of her H size that were barely held in the light blue bra. So wore the panties were a match in color to her bra. The panties themselves looked like they were too small, which kept her ass cheeks together, and the while Harem mind was processing what just happened. Did he know? No, Naruto-kun would never do something like that unintentionally, Harem thought to herself. Keep telling yourself that you and I both know it was intentional, said a voice that sounded like hers. No, Naruto-kun, his sweetie would never do anything like this intentionally, would he? Harem asked, not really liking the thought of doubting her master. Yes he would, and by the look he's giving you he likes what he sees. I say we go get him before the others can, the voice said. But Naruto-kun don't love me like that, not like the others, the voice said. Yeah he does, you see the looks he giving you, he wants you like the just like the others, the voice said. Making up her mind so pounced on her master and pinned his arms above his head and attacked his mouth with her, asking for permission to enter their tongues meet and in turn dance over each other as they battled for control, which Harem won out in the end. I've wanted to do that for so long, Naruto-kun, Harem said more to herself, breaking apart from her master. Wow Harem, it was just wow, Naruto said with a large smile. I am so sorry Naruto-sama, I don't know what came over me, Harem said hastily, hoping her master wouldn't be too arduous with her display of affection after she came to a realization of her feelings for him came out. Don't be sorry Harem-chan, I enjoyed it a lot, Naruto said with a silly grin. You did? Harem asked carefully. Of course I did, the fact that a beauty like you did it makes it a lot more enjoyable, Naruto said before cupping her face and eyeing her more. But some civilians. Damn demon brat, how dare he challenge Sasuke-sama to a fight, said a merchant by the name Kenshi. It doesn't matter, Sasuke-sama will wipe the ground with the demon brat and it will prove the strength of the Uchiha clan to all, said a man who was a no-Kyuubi hater that went by the name of Sokka. I don't know, from what I heard the demon has become good enough to even be able to take on Chuck Norris on for at least a few seconds and live, Kenshi said. After a few minutes of silence, Sokka came up with the idea to stop the demon brat. Kenshi, does the demon brat still goes to the ramen stand? Sokka asked his friend. Yes he goes there often and eats with the old chief's daughter when she is not busy, Kenshi. Okay Kenshi, here the plan, we take the old man's daughter and force him to spike the demon brat's food to slow him down enough so Sasuke-sama can win, Sokka said with no small amount of glee. I like the idea, but the girl has seen us enough that she knows our faces, she'll be able to identify us, Kenshi said. That's why we'll get Yuma to kidnap her for us, she'll just have to not use her real mask, Sokka said. There's still the fact that the demon heals from everything we do to him, he'll just cleanse himself of the poison long before the fight, Kenshi pointed out. That would normally be troublesome, but a few years ago a doctor came up with a drug or something to stop the demon's healing powers, Sokka said. It's a plan, then I'll tell Yuma, Kenshi said, add his own grin to match Sokka's before leaving to inform Yuma about their plan. Back with Naruto and Harem. Naruto was locked in an epic duel so powerful it could end the world as they knew it. He was tonguing Harem. Their tongues fighting for control of the other, a fight that Harem managed to apart. Harem enjoyed the flushed look on his face. What's wrong Naruto-sama, can't handle a little for little old me? Harem asked sultry with a smile, who was still wheeling from the could not from a comeback, which made the Harem grin even wider. Snapping back into reality, he warped his arms around her waist and pulled her closer to him as she rested her head on his chest, the two enjoying the sun's rays as they lay in peaceful silence, just simply holding each other. Naruto-kun, please be careful when you're fighting the Uchiha. If I were to lose you, I don't know what I would do, Harem said, hugging him tightly, afraid he would disappear at any minute. Don't worry Haim-chan, I don't do anything too dangerous. For once in my life I got something in my life worth living and fighting for you and the others, and hell even the Shokin are my life, and I don't plan on losing you or them anytime soon. Naruto said with all of his emotion. But still Naruto-kun, please be careful, there is still a lot of people that hate you, even though they know your family's past, and they would give anything to see you die, Haim said, trying to hide the tears in her eyes. Haim-chan, look at me, Naruto asked, lifting her chin, so see she was looking into her eyes. When I say I won't lose I won't, and that's a promise, Naruto said before eyeing her on the believe it, Naruto said after they broke apart from one another. Somewhere in the middle of the Suna desert. Kushina-sama, now you're back, what are you planning to do, asked a woman of dark skin tone and large black and white cloths, hint hint. Simple, my little Empress-chan, we find my son, and then we find the asshole who sent me away and rip him to shreds, Kushina. As you wish, Kushina-sama, the woman named said Empress said as 9 other people also wearing black and white joined the 2 people. This will be fun, said a blue-haired man with a large smile. Yes it will, my little panther, yes it will, Kushina said. Get ready, Konoha Beku's Kushina is back in town, she thought to herself. The Chunin exam stage was set, the time was right, and Naruto was ready to fight. Standing across from Sasuke, Naruto stood wearing a skin-tight shirt, black sleeveless shirt, and a matching pair of black ninja pants and shoes. His headband was replaced by a simple plain black cloth cage striped to his back and Haim in his hands. Naruto slightly swayed to the side, bracing himself with Haim. He quickly righted himself. Naruto-sama, are you feeling alright? I sense you're weakened greatly, you're in no condition to fight, Haim asked, considered for the welfare of her master. I am fine, Haim, just want too many bowls of ramen, Naruto said. Naruto-sama, Haim said before quieting down. Besides, you remember what their others said, don't you, Naruto said. Flashback no jutsu. Junin exam practice room. Anko, Kurenai, Mikoto, and Shiva walked into a sight many women and a few man would die to see, a shirtless and headbandless Naruto sitting in the middle of the room with Haim in his lap in a meditative from some of the old scar from his less than happy childhood were clearly visible. Anko, Kurenai and Mikoto could not help but get mad at the village for their inability to tell an innocent man from the evil locked inside him. Shiva on the other hand could not help but a little turned on by the many scars that donned his chest. Sensing the 4 women walk into the room, Naruto opened his eyes to the side of the 4. Mikoto was shocked at the look of Naruto, who smiled a bit. You see something you like, Karasu Chan, Naruto said as Mikoto tried to hide her blush. Naruto-kun, what happened to your eyes, Mikoto asked. Moving with an ing space, Naruto give her a quick pick onto that quickly had turned into a full-blown makeout session. The 2 soon had to break apart for some air, leaving a blushing and slightly horny Mikoto happy before answer her. My eyes got like this from some that saved me from myself, Naruto said. So you all here to wish me good luck, Naruto said, picking up Haim and placing her in her sheath and putting on his shirt, much to the diss of the 4 women. Yap, Foxy-kun, hope you're ready to kick the Uchiha pompous ass, no offense, Mikoto-chan, Anko said, doping herself around Naruto. Non-taking Anko sent truth as Sasuke has stopped being my son a long time ago, ever since the clan was massacred, he has never been the same, maybe this fight is what he needs. Mikoto said sadly. Yup, bet it will, Karasu-chan, I will teach him a humility lesson he won't soon forget, Naruto said with a thumbs up and a smile on the dot. I believe you will, Naruto-kun, just don't hurt him too badly, Mikoto said with no small amount of blush. I won't, I will just give him a few broken ribs and maybe fractured bone or two, Naruto said. I have something special planned for you if you win, Foxy-kun, Anko said, grabbing Kurenai and pulling her into a heated who returned it with equal passion. Naruto nearly passed put at the open display of sex, but he held as up till Anko started to undo Kurenai's bandage dress and fondling her bare, something caused Naruto to pass out from extreme blood loss. He looked like we broke him, Kur-chan, Anko said as Mikoto poked his pale body with a small smile on her face. 5 minutes later, Naruto woke up with his head in Mikoto's lap as she had run one of her hands through his hair. What happened to me, Naruto asked. You passed out from blood loss like the big pervert you are, Shiva said simply. That cold Ryu Chan too, Naruto said as he sit in the corner by himself with a sad look on his face, and thing that made the other women in the room giggle. So Naruto, what is your plan to bet Sasuke, Kurenai asked. I don't know if Kakashi really has trained Sasuke as much as I think he has, then I would be in for a tough fight, Naruto said. How would you counter the Sharingan is a better question, Anko said. I got my ways, he behind, let's just say that takes to a certain someone that duck butt won't be able to copy my moves, Naruto said with a large grin. I hope you're right, Naruto-kun, Mikoto said softly. You're cute when you worry, Karasu-chan, Naruto said, making the older woman blush. Foxy-kun, when you bet Sasuke I got a special reward for your hard work, Anko said, placing one of Naruto's hands on her exposed. Go ahead, give them a squeeze, Anko said with a small prompt. They're so soft, Hibi-chan, Naruto said, getting a nosebleed. They're all yours too if you bet Sasuke, Foxy-kun, Anko said his ear. Shunching into the area, Sasuke and Kakashi looked overly happy looking. Sasuke. I hope you're ready to lose, Dobe. Sasuke taking the usual Uchiha fighting stance. You wish, duck, but Naruto said before the Uchiha charged at the blonde. Sasuke threw some kunai at the blonde, who dodged the deadly weapon. Using that time, Sasuke made so hand sign and shoot some fireball at the blonde ninja. Naruto easily blocked the deadly weapons but was not prepared for the hard punch to the stomach that sent him stumbling back a bit from the force. I admit, Sasuke, that hurt bit, but it won't happen again. Naruto righting himself with practiced ease. Whatever you say, Dobe, Sasuke said before once again charging at the blonde. Naruto easily dodged the first few attacks from Sasuke, but Naruto was slowly being pushed back by Sasuke's constant attacks, trapping over his own foot. Sasuke was placed in a bad spot. In the stands. Looks like Naruto is having a hard time out there, Anko-san, Kakashi said with a smug smile. Looks like Naruto is turning this around, Hadouken, Anko said, just as Naruto landed a right hook to Sasuke's face that sent him flying back, and quickly Ed pressed his attack. We will see, snake bitch, Kakashi thought, turning back to the fight with Naruto. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow the HARRY1817 for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.